Here's a perfect example of the sort of person a social engineer wants to find in a company: the sysadmin. Because the sysadmin often has an enormous amount of power within the computer networks of the company. We're now going to spend a bit of time looking at how to find a sysadmin in a company. Let's go and take a look at just how easy it can be to find sysadmins. So here we are in LinkedIn, and this is an enormously useful OSINT resource. And it's particularly good to find people of very specific roles within very specific organizations. Now, I want to make this a real live example, but in order to protect the privacy of the people and organizations I'm searching for, I am going to obfuscate some of the results, but I'll leave as much as possible openly visible. So let's do this. Let's search for system administrator. Now, in this particular case, we want to find people with system administrator titles. Let's do that. In this case, we appear to have found almost 500,000 system administrators on LinkedIn. Now what I'd really like to do is filter this down. So let's do this. I'm going to search for current system administrators. And I'm going to filter it all the way down to one particular organization that I'm interested in. I'm not going to show you which one, but certainly you'll be able to reproduce this yourself if you're interested in finding people of this role in a specific organization. Let's now filter that down. So here we go. I now have 106 possible targets within this large multinational that are acting as a system administrator. Now, the chances are that these individuals have quite a high level of access rights within the organization. They probably have the ability to do things like reset passwords, access confidential file shares, and locate other very specific, very personal information about the people that work there. These are the people that I, as a social engineer, would like to be able to influence in order to give me information that I want about the organization. Let's just pick one individual out of the result set. So now I have a target. I know where he works, I know what his name is, and I almost certainly know what his email address is as well, because most organizations have a very standard pattern, such as firstname.lastname@companyname.com. So already I have quite a bit of information. Of course, if I look at this profile in more depth, I'll see previous places of work, education, and other professional related attributes of the individual. Attributes that I could use if I reach out to them in order to create credibility. But I'd like a little bit more information. In fact, what I'd really like is some more information about the individual's personal life. So for that, let's go over to another site you'll probably recognize. Facebook is an absolute treasure trove of personal information. And where it gets really interesting is when you start to combine the data from multiple sources. So taking what we have from LinkedIn, which is obviously more of a professional context, and then adding that together with what we have from Facebook, which is more of a personal context. Let's now search for the individual that I just found on LinkedIn. Now in this case, there's actually a number of results for people with this same name. But fortunately for us, Facebook is intelligent enough that we can give it additional data attributes and it will narrow down the search. So let me now add the organization name as well after the individual's name. It's not hard to find the same individual. You can usually match, if not the photo, then some of the bio, where they work, what their education history is. Facebook requests this information as well. And once it matches up with LinkedIn, you'll have a pretty good idea that you've found the same individual. And from there, we can begin to identify very personal attributes about them. What sort of things do they like? What are they reposting? Who are their friends? Where have they traveled to? All of this starts to build more and more information about who the individual is. And as I've said several times already, the more information the social engineer has, the more effective they are. So being able to reach out to a very specific person within an organisation and know their employment history, their education history, their friends, their movements, gives that social engineer enormously useful information that can be used to trick the target into performing actions or handing over things to the attacker that they wouldn't normally do. Now, we've tied together multiple sources here, Facebook and LinkedIn, but it can be even easier than that as well. Let's go and have a look at a dedicated resource that aggregates information together for the one identity.